Your source for combat sports here on Wednesday night, April 24th. You know, the boxing, the MMA a little bit, and the pro wrestling, lots of that. Of course, this Wednesday evening of Keep It in the Ring, April 24th, live. Here we are, 8 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday night. And I'm Rich Mancuso. As always, we will keep it in the ring. Thanks for your continued support. Now, my social media handles scrolled, as always, at the bottom of the screen. I try and get back to each and every one of you. I try to keep you informed every week. Of course, X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, other social media platforms, and also read me on NewYorkSportsDay.com, LatinoSports.com this week, and StringPunk.com, where I have an interesting article that I gave my opinion about why Ryan Garcia is bad for boxing. You ought to read that if you haven't. I've gotten some reaction about it, negative and positive, as expected. Now, we are in that boxing season, as I call it, or the boxing calendar, as you might call it, where all the big-name fighters, the superstars, the upcoming fighters are being exposed in a good way. Of hopefully, if you have a streaming network subscription, good for you. The big if is if you don't have boxing on major television, except for ESPN, if it's a part of your cable subscription package. Cable on the way out, as you know, dwindling subscription basis. That's why the streaming networks are big with boxing. I tell you that every week. So ESPN is really, with Top Rank, the only free platform if you have that. Other than that, it is boxing season, and we're going to get to it again this week. And let's go and analyze, as always, Ryan Garcia. As much as I don't really want to recap everything, we have to, because the aftermath, Ryan Garcia continues to be in the news as far as boxing circles. Well, you know, it's over. The fight is over. The buildup, the anticipation. And look, congratulations to Ryan Garcia. He did what he said he was going to do. He beat Devin Haney. Haney wasn't at his best. There's no doubt about it. However, because Ryan Garcia last Friday did not make weight, and he said that he never intended to, Ryan Garcia said that Floyd Mayweather Jr. told him to put on 38 pounds, and they've become good friends out there in Las Vegas. Haney and Mayweather, Bill Haney, Haney's father, today, and Mayweather went at it on an Instagram live discussion. It was heated, very heated. Mayweather, of course, saying he has nothing against Haney at all, and he wasn't doing any type of backstage theatrics to cause Haney to lose this fight. Anyway, Devin Haney did not look like Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia did what he wanted to do. Dirty fight, though. Referee Harvey Dock, a center of attention here. And if you look throughout the fight during the rounds, as we'll go over it now, as much as you know what occurred, you saw Ryan Garcia using his shoulder a lot, which deducted points at some point. Let's take a look at some of the images, because the 12th round majority decision goes to Ryan Garcia. However, with the 3 knockdowns, he does not even get the championship because he missed weight. Negligence or intent on his part, not right what Ryan Garcia did. And until he has a championship around his waist, he is not the number one face for boxing right now. He beat Devin Haney, who was not at his best. Ryan Garcia said all along he would do it. The left hook in round 1, Haney goes down. The left hook in round 7 again, where he was deducted a point. 3 knockdowns. Did not expect that from Garcia against Devin Haney, who had been awesome, especially coming off his last fight at 140 against Regis Prograis, where he dominated all 12 rounds of that championship fight. But the left hook for Ryan Garcia, definitely, and his speed and his power, definitely effective against Devin Haney, who might have not expected this type of onslaught. Maybe he underestimated. Whatever it was, he talked, but not as much as Garcia did leading up to fight week. You know, hitting on the break, referee Harvey Dock, that has to be questioned a lot. Garcia's shoulder defense, that has to be questioned. But the second knockdown in round 10, going into round 11, that did it. 112, 112, 114, 110, 115, 109. How the judges have it. Could have been a draw. I had it more in the 114, 110 range. What did you think? Let me know in the comments. Punch stats show the story. Outlanded was Henny, 2-1 in power shots. Henny's previous opponents landed 25% of those shots. Henny, 7 of 18 punches per round after landing 12 of 42 punches in his last 10 fights. My friends, that told the story a bit. Ryan Garcia is now making challenges after this win. He feels he can say what he wants, and he's challenged even Sean O'Malley of the UFC. That came up on his Instagram and X post during the week. He's challenged Jake Paul, who watched the fight with his brother Logan and many others. And Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia having words about maybe facing each other. He's challenged Gervonta Davis again, a guy that beat him 2 years ago. However, it wouldn't be at 147, it could be, because Ryan Garcia says he's no more, that's it for 140, no longer fighting at 140, and he might even go to 154 and challenge Sebastian Fundora, the champion. Look, he came into that fight about 154 or higher in weight when he rehydrated. He was overweight, and the power showed because of the weight, and he can handle that weight. However, it was an unfair advantage to Devin Haney, who goes by the rules, and Ryan Garcia doesn't. He's even challenged Ryan Garcia, Pitbull Cruz, who is the WBA 140-pound champion, but that's not going to happen. Oscar De La Hoya did say in the post-fight presser, they must go through Ryan, and they must do that if they want to make money. So to De La Hoya, the promoter of Golden Boy, the Hall of Fame champion, Ryan Garcia is the face of boxing. I dispute that until he has a title around his waist. And because he failed to make weight, which was bad for boxing, Ryan Garcia is not a champion. Ryan Garcia goes against the rules. He does what he wants. He said during his tweets during the week, his X post, crazy again, even after the aftermath of this fight. Let's take a look at them. He said that if it was Devin's idea, or Devin should vacate his title, and he should tell WCBC President Mauricio Sullivan Jr., give me the belt. He says Jesus again is the greatest. That's what he says. He says he wants war. He's trying to get back in the ring as soon as possible. Vacation time is whack. And I've heard that he's still having a good time partying. He's drinking. He said he drank beer throughout the training camp and he smoked weed and it was okay. That's why he's bad for boxing, my friends. All the tweets and Instagram posts, he said, were for everyone to say he was crazy and that people underestimated his social media influence that tops over 1.5 million or more with X now and on Instagram. He said that he documented all this. Ryan Garcia said he put this all together because it was a script in his world, that these social media posts that were disturbing and still continue to be after the fight are all a part of his plan. In other words, he's becoming more of a celebrity than a fighter and a champion that he wants to be. And again, not making weight was a disgrace to the sport and to every fighter who makes weight. And they work hard to do at it months before, leading up to fight night. So he's an embarrassment to the sport. And again, I have nothing against this young man, 25 years old, who's destined for greatness. No longer at 140, as he says, but going to go to 147 or 154, where the challenges will get even harder for him to do. But if he takes it seriously, and we can see a serious Ryan Garcia when he wants to be serious in the ring, he can become an all-time great fighter. But for right now, Ryan Garcia is not an all-time great fighter. And until, as I said moments ago, my friends, until Ryan Garcia has a title around his waist, he can't be considered serious. No matter what talent and what display of talent he showed against Devin Haney, an ultra-talented 25-year-old fighter who will bounce back. He will. And his father, Bill Haney, said that. And for the best interest of Devin Haney, if you want to jump ahead, I think he needs to make a change and maybe get his father away from giving all the directions and go for someone who's reputable that can make him go higher than a champion at 140, a title he still has and will defend because of the stipulations of WBC rules and boxing sanctioning organizations. Most of them abide by that. Championship fight, you don't make weight. The title does not go to the challenger if he wins. And that's where we stand with Ryan Garcia right now, who's calling out all types of names for his next challenge. And again, not at 140, either at 147 or and maybe even 154 against Sebastian Padura if they want to make that. He's better off at 147, a division that's getting more and more competitive right now. It's always been, but even getting more with talented names and fighters and superstars. And Ryan Garcia, again, said, and so did Oscar De La Hoya, I reiterate, you got to go through Ryan if you want to make money. And that's what it's all about. So we close the book on Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, and we move on. Except this, and it won't be the last I talk about him as well, because he's such a big influence on social media with all these followers, and he likes to post every day and posting messages that have no significance to his career. Ryan Garcia will never go away, and he'll be around. And he'll be around, and I expect him to eventually get a title around his waist. But he's got to stick to boxing and show that his win against Devin Haney was real. The challenge for Ryan Garcia is to not say that he's psychologically damaged. I mean, he may not be. The challenge for Ryan Garcia is to keep his mouth shut on social media when it comes to his personal antics that led up to this fight with Devin Haney. The challenge for Ryan Garcia is to show how talented he is in the ring with power, speed, and offers all those attributes to become a great champion and to be one for a long time. But he's got to keep his mouth shut, and he's got to learn to stay off social media and not do it as often as he does. But he wants to be the center of attention. He was leading up to this fight with Devin Haney, and he continues to be after the fight. So let's move on from that right now. And let's look at Eddie Hearn, who's the promoter of Devin Haney, who said also he requested Garcia to weigh in on Saturday, the day of the fight, which should be protocol for boxing all around, my friends. I've always said that was the best way to weigh in fighters, because fighters never go in on fight night the weight that they're contracted to be. So there's got to be a change of that, like it was in the old day. Weigh in on the same day, but they can't, because weigh-ins have become celebrity events, and fighters would never make weight for the contract that they signed for on the day of weight. They like to rehydrate. They do that. That's when they get in the ring. Like Garcia didn't go in even at 140 that he went overweight at 143. He was going in there. He looked like he was a 154 pounder, and not at 140, which is not fair at all. Not fair. But that's what Eddie Hearn wanted. Bill Henney said his son would have killed Garcia. Violent words, which I detested all along. And he didn't go for that and said that with the weigh-in the same day because Devin rehydrates to massive body proportions or whatever it be. So that was a part of the aftermath. Regardless, again, Ryan Garcia is not number one, no title, bad for boxing, as I say, and the antics on social media present a bad image not only about Ryan Garcia, as many would say it's not, that it's all show and tell, but a young fighter with massive talent that needs better direction when it comes to handling himself outside the ring. All right. Move on because of the Zone pay-per-view by Golden Boy and others saw this young man, Aldo Barboza Jr., who had said that if Garcia was not psychologically cleared to fight, and that became a story too, because that was never going to happen. The New York City Athletic Commission was going to let this fight go on. There was a lot at stake here. But Barboza said that if Garcia couldn't step in, that if he couldn't fight then in any, he would. But that never transpired. But anyway, Barboza got the split decision, a controversial one, over Sean McComb. Barboza was never appeared to be in this fight as part of the co-main event. 98-92, 97-93, 96-94 judges' scorecards. Might have been a little more wider than that. Punch stats show that McComb outlanded Barboza 6 of the 10 rounds. For 42% of Barboza's punches recorded to the body. And you look at those punch stats, it tells a story. But again, Barboza Jr. in line for something big, maybe in this year with Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya. However, he was never really in this fight. But he got the win. And that's the way it goes. Okay? We move on. Take a look at Terrence Crawford. Big announcement today because the champion is moving up to 154. He is the face of boxing, if not Canelo Alvarez. He is, to many, the pound-for-pound number one fighter all around. And it was announced today, big. August 3rd, Los Angeles, California. The Zone will have it with Matchroom, and we are getting the first time the Saudi Arabians, the princes and the kings, are coming to the United States to promote and put their money behind a major card August 3rd in Los Angeles. The press conference at Gotham Hall earlier today in New York City is going to be Crawford against Israel Madridov at 154. Crawford now no longer a welterweight. He is now at 154. On this card also, it's stacked. And let's take a look at it, Carl. Put up those names. This is going to be a stacked boxing card in beginning of August. Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who just dethroned Wally Romero for the 140-pound title, WBA, against Jose Valenzuela. David Morrell against Koldavic. Andy Cruz against Antonio Moran. And also, you're going to have a heavyweight, the heavyweights involved. David Ruiz comes back. You see Ruiz will be on this card on August 3rd. It is stacked. And that's because Eddie Hearn is working with other promoters to get the fights the fans want. This is going to be a good one. Good one. Look at the names on that card. Ruiz, also the former heavyweight champion who defeated Anthony Joshua. It helps when promoters work together, and we have this one, Andy Ruiz against Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who's had his problems getting suspended because of marijuana possession. Can't pass the drug test. But he's fighting Jared Big Baby Miller. And that's going to be an interesting fight. It has some implications for both those guys. I like it. I like this card. I like the fact Terrence Crawford coming back after his win against Earl Spence Jr. that unified the titles at 147, and many consider the top pound-for-pound fighter out there. And Terrence Crawford's possible also he would move on with working with Eddie Hearn, and Crawford promotes himself now after leaving Top Rank. It's possible that Terrence Crawford could get another fight, and this time in Saudi Arabia. It's talking. Now that he's involved with the Kings and the Princes and the Kings. Good card coming up August 3rd. I like it. What do you think? Comment. Let me know. Keep it in the ring. Rich Mancuso. We're here live on my channel on YouTube and on the AGT network, and also on my Keep It in the Ring Facebook page. So, talk about Eddie Hearn, the most active promoter in the sport, signing fighters every week. He's got one or two new guys. And now he signs Gerard Boots Ennis from Philadelphia. Big fine for him at 147. Now, Boots could go up to 154. There's always talk about Boots Ennis and Terrence Crawford. In the meantime, Boots Ennis, multi-fight deal with Eddie Hearn, and it's gonna be Cody Crowley and Gerard Boots Ennis, Philadelphia homecoming. That's what they're looking at. With Matchroom Boxing, the promoter, and the difference is the disparity in the purse. They won the purse bid for this fight. Cody Crowley and Boots Ennis, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom won the purse bid for this fight. However, an 85-15 split, which is, that's not right. So, in other words, Boots Ennis will get 85% of the purse of that, and Crowley gets an opportunity if he upsets Boots Ennis, who's a very talented young fighter out of Philadelphia. You've heard me rave about him, and I've written about him numerous times. That will be his Philadelphia homecoming. That will be his first fight under the Matchroom Boxing banner on the Zone with Eddie Hearn. Good move by Boots Ennis to get in there with Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn has got right now a hold on the sport. He's signing fighters, he's putting on shows, and most of all, I credit him working with other promoters to make the fights for the fans. That's what it's about. And Eddie Hearn is doing that. He's working with Oscar De La Hoya. He'll even work with Top Rank, trying to get more involved with the PBC to get his guys going. Boots Ennis away from the PBC now with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, which was a great move for this young man, because he's going to get the exposure and a lot of it on the Zone, the major streaming network in boxing, and also title opportunities. He's already a champion at 147. He had Terrence Crawford's title, who vacated and went to 154. All right, Gervonta Davis, official, June 15th in Las Vegas, WBA lightweight defense against Frank Martin. That's official. Now, Gervonta, I think, has moved on from defeating Ryan Garcia a year or so ago, and now Gervonta is looking at Frank Martin, see where he goes from there. He, my friend's a top 3 fighter or top 5 in the sport. There's no doubt about it. On that undercard, David Benavidez and Alexander Glovak, WBC interim light heavyweight title, as Benavidez makes his debut at 175 to get away from Canelo Alvarez. We tell you all the time, Alvarez has been avoiding Benavidez, despite Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing, saying, no, I'm not doing that. No. And Edgar Berlanga, now with Matchroom, he continues his multi-fight deal with Eddie Hearn. Is going to have a middleweight opponent, maybe, as the WBA says. He is going to be the mandatory challenger for Canelo Alvarez if the Canelo meets this guy, Jaime Munguia, next weekend. Mega fight, 2 Mexicans, first time in a long time. There's Munguia working out this week. It's on Amazon Prime pay-per-view. The first Mexican undefeated title fight with 2 together in a long time. Undisputed title for Canelo Alvarez, holds all the belts at 168. Munguia, the former 154-pound champ, back-to-back wins at 168 is what he got. He said during the workout yesterday, this is big for boxing and big for his country of Mexico because a lot of pride, Munguia and Canelo. I expect this to be a competitive and good fight between two of the top Mexican fighters in the world, in the sport. And he said, Munguia, you have to fight the best in your division. Well, he got it, the opportunity. That fight, to me, I think Canelo will end up winning, but I don't think it's going to be a knockout. Talk more about it next week when we preview it here on Keep It in the Ring. Let's look at our friend Ismael Veriel, who we had on the program last week. Unfortunately, did not go in his favor. I don't know if you saw it on the Zone. A knockdown in the third round. Brandon Adams on this OT Boxing Super Welterweight Tournament. Good concept. The left hook to the body, landing 10 more jabs, was Adams. Veriel, he's a fighter that comes back. He doesn't stay still after a loss. We saw that after he lost to Callum Smith in Madison Square Garden last year. Veriel's now 22-11, but he did, Veriel rather sustains another loss, but he had the advantage, 22-11, and body punches landed. However, he got caught by Adams, who has a pretty good left hook. That went to the body that put him down, and that was the end of the fight. KO round 3, but Ismael Veriel from the Bronx, New York, congratulations for getting in there again. He'll be back at 154. He likes that division, holds the weight well. I spoke to him a day or so after the fight when he got back to New York, and he did say to me that disappointment was there with him, but he's a fighter. He's a champion. He'll be back. And probably be back before you know it within the next 2 months because he wants to stay active. He's in the gym again ready after that loss. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back, and then we're going to talk some MMA with two talented young superstars in combat sports who'll be fighting next week, May 4th as well, up in Poughkeepsie, New York. Going to talk to them, tell you a little bit about them as we continue Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Brief time out, and we'll get to that in a moment. Stay with me. Stay with us. Like, comment, and subscribe. My YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, the AGT Network, and Keep It in the Ring, the page where we are right now live. Back in a moment. I'm Rich Mancuso with more Keep It in the Ring. Stay with us.
For a family.
Hey, we're back with Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Thanks for staying with us here this Wednesday evening. And like, comment, subscribe. My channel on YouTube and also on the AGT Network and my Keep It in the Ring Facebook page. And let's move on away from Ryan Garcia and the pros in boxing and talk a little combat sports, MMA, and kickboxing with some amateurs and upcoming talented. Dead Serious Fight Promotion, May 4th, 7 p.m. start time, MJA Center next Saturday night, May 4th, Poughkeepsie, New York. And I welcome in two young rising superstars. They're amateurs right now. They represent Bakertown MMA and Ridgewood Fitness in Stone Ridge, New York. My friend Ron Darby's got them. And let me bring in, I think we got both of them in at the same time or one or the other. I welcome in Nico Walsh, 50-pound catch weight. His third fight coming up. And Chris Valet, 145. He's a kickboxer. This will be his first fight. Both of them, I believe, 20 years of age. And if I'm wrong, guys, let me know. And right now, do we have both of you guys together?
No, Rich, you just have me right now.
Okay, so right now this is Chris Valet, right?
Yes, sir.
Am I pronouncing your name right, Chris?
Chris Valat.
Valat, yeah, because I'm bad with names. Everyone knows that. Thanks for coming on, Chris, and we'll talk to your stablemate in a moment. We'll talk to Nico in a moment, and maybe even get your trainer on, Ron. Tell us about, Chris, you are advertised as a rising star in combat sports with kickboxing. Now, tell us why you come advertised like that. You are of Asian descent, am I right?
Yes, sir.
So you know a little bit about that because Thailand and all of that's big, and that's where it originates. And we'll talk fact of the week. You guys are going to try and get that too in a moment. Chris, why do people have to come out and watch you? What do you offer to the table, or when you get in there?
I have an unmatchable work ethic, first of all. I'm ready, I'm confident, and you're going to see I'm going to make a highlight clip.
This is your first fight? And I ask fighters this, even kickboxers and MMA guys on the amateur level as you are. Are you a little nervous about it?
Little nervous. I feel great, though. I'm ready. My coach has got me ready. The training has been amazing. I'm ready. It's on.
What makes you so good? You come advertised really well. And I was looking forward to seeing you on a card a few months back. I'm not even going to mention that. That was a fiasco. And we'll get into that at another segment, another time, how bad that was. And it wasn't your fault or Ron, your coach. What makes you the fighter that you are? What are you good at? Is it the striking as a kickboxer? What do you do that's really good?
Unmatchable work ethic, and yes, the striking. The striking's unmatched.
How did you get involved in this? What made you love combat sports, kickboxing, of which you're specializing in now going into your first fight?
I've always loved combat sports, but when I met Ron Darnley, I knew that kickboxing was for me.
Right. Is Ron there with you right now?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, let's bring him in. This is your trainer, Ron Darnley, who and then we'll get Nico Walsh in also in a moment. Ron, are you there? Ron?
If I can interrupt you really quick, Nico Walsh is actually not here. He had a family.
Okay.
He had a family thing, Rich. I was going to try to contact you earlier, my friend, but unfortunately I didn't have time to do it. And he had.
That's fine. That's fine. At least we got one of you guys. And you can talk about Nico in a moment.
Okay.
But Ron, you're the trainer of this young man, Chris Valet, at 145, his first fight coming up. You speak very highly about him. What makes him so special?
Okay, I'm just going to touch on what he just said. Reflect on that for a moment. This young man has an unmatchable work ethic. Him, as well as all of my students. Nico, the gentleman who's holding the camera for us right now, another one of my students. Listen, in life, Rich, you know you're only going to get out of what you put into it. This young man and his teammates have trained their asses off for this event. This is big. Dead Serious Fight Promotions is a really big fight promotions. They're at Atlantic City, New Jersey. They're also connected to Lou Nagala a little bit through Ring of Combat, which is another great fight promotion in the Jersey area, as you well know. But this ain't about me. It ain't about me or nothing. It's about this young man and his teammate, who I can assure you, if you make it out to that event, you're going to see some goddamn highlight reel knockouts.
Oh, I'm going to come. I'm going to be up there up in Poughkeepsie, right? It's in Poughkeepsie. I'm going to come up there May 4th. I have to see him because I had talked to him a couple of months ago, and I was impressed. He handles himself well, and I've heard great things about him. No kidding aside. Chris, let me ask you again. 145. That's you are solidly built for a young man. How old are you?
20 years of age.
For 20 years of age at 145, and I understand that you have a story behind yourself as well, personally. Why don't you tell us about that again? I believe Ron, if I'm not mistaken, he's what foster parents he had coming here.
Right.
Tell us about that, Chris, and how much have they encouraged and helped you to get where you want to be as a combat sports star?
Well, simply put, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in right now without them. My mom is the one who actually contacted Ron to get me to link with Ron to start this whole shit. So without my mom, this would have never even started. She saw how much that I enjoyed it and the fire within me, and she got me linked up with Ron, and it was history.
And from what I understand, you're in that gym constantly. You listen carefully, and those are all the great attributes of becoming something that you want to be in combat sports. Now, Chris, how far do you want to go with this? And will it strictly be kickboxing, or do you think you'll transition into MMA or even become a fighter, or is it just going to be kickboxing?
Oh, no, you're going to see. I'm going to do UFC, MMA, everything, all out.
I know you're very tough, too. You have a lot of strength, and you're tough.
Rich, if I can interrupt you for a minute.
Sure, Ron.
I'm on the back end of a lot of this training in here. And when I say on the back end of it, I'm moving around these guys. I'm still keeping myself in shape too. But without these young men and, what we've all embraced here, I mean, these guys are going to be at the top level when they're ready to go next weekend. I'm telling you, these guys have put the training in. This young man lives in the gym. Nico lives in the gym. The guy holding the camera that's holding the camera for us right now, all these guys, we all live in this gym, and this is what we all live for. But again, it's not about me or anybody else in this gym. It's about this warrior right here and his compadre teammate, Nico Walsh, who
you're like a little family up there. You're really together. You root each other on. You work well together, and it carries over that you're both on the same. Let me ask you about that, Chris. How do you feel about being on the same card with your stablemate Nico Walsh?
I love it. I love Nico. He's a fucking amazing fighter, and we're gonna put on a show, both of us. I know it.
We apologize for the foul language. Did he just curse, Ron?
Keep it clean.
My bad. I'm sorry.
See, I don't even do that on my own show, and I could do that even though we're on YouTube.
Sorry, Rich.
That's okay. Yeah, apology accepted. I'm used. Look, if Ryan Garcia could do all that cursing and all these other pro fighters that I'm used to hearing about, that's okay for me, but I don't want to see a young man get into that habit. To me, that word just. But that's okay. Let's bypass that right now. It might be because you're just you're enjoying the moment with Rich Mancuso, which I can understand. Let me go back to you again, Chris, and thanks again for the time. I'm talking right now, Chris Follett, kickboxing at 145, making his first fight coming up. Put that poster up again there, Dead Serious Fight Promotion, May 4th, up in Poughkeepsie, New York. Tickets are available if you're up in that area or just want to go. You're going to see some great amateur combat sports. You're going to see it with these guys, including this young man we're talking to now, Chris Follett. Chris, once again, so you like to strike, am I right?
Yep, correct.
And you also have great hand speed.
Yep.
So kickboxing is compared to all the other combat sports. I believe MMA is brutal. Boxing can be brutal and technical. Do you feel kickboxing has all of that combined?
I mean, compared to MMA, obviously you don't have to worry about the ground game. So I would say MMA is the top dog of all combat sports.
And this is Muay Thai kickboxing, am I right?
Yeah. Yep.
How many rounds did your fight?
3.
Okay, 3 rounds. So you're looking to dispose your opponent as soon as possible. I mean, I've broadcast Muay Thai fights. I've done a few of them in the last year. And I got to tell you, as a boxing guy, I'm really, really impressed because of the striking and your hand speed as well, and the power you put into it with the punching that you might have to do, but the power coming from your legs and your feet. How much do you depend on using your feet and your legs to go for what you got to get?
I mean, like, just in boxing, it's everything. Your hips, your toes, power derives from the bottom all the way to the top, just like boxing.
Now, you look like a little guy. What's your height?
About 5'8".
And you're weighing in at 145.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so 5'8", 145, and I've seen you with your shirt off. I saw you at weigh-in on that fiasco. We're not going to go into it. You are very well put together. I got to say that for a 20-year-old. And I was at your power. How much running do you do every day?
All the time, every day.
And that obviously gives you the strength with the legs and the feet, because kickboxing, Muay Thai, you depend on that and striking to get those points from the judges that are by the cage or the ring.
Definitely, and it helps a lot with footwork as well.
Okay, so how do you look at this fight coming up on May 4th? Do you know who you're fighting? Is he another amateur with experience, or is this his first fight as well?
I know he's got one fight under his belt. Right, he's a little bigger than me, as you could see from the poster, but I got the heart. I respect this man. He's a warrior, but I will make an example out of him.
An example like getting rid of him fast?
You'll see, yes.
Okay, I will see, because I intend to be there on May 4th up in Poughkeepsie, New York. Dead Serious Fight Promotions. At this young man, Chris Valle, at 145, makes his debut, and his stablemate Nico Walsh, an MMA fight at 150 catchweight, his third fight. All a part coming out of Bakertown MMA, Ridgewood Fitness, Stonebridge, New York, and my good friend Ron Darney. Ron, come on in one more time before we wrap this up.
What's
so,
up,
Ron, one question, and I
sir.
know what the answer is going to be. I know what it's going to be. How confident are you with the two of you guys?
Ready? 200%. 100 for him and 100 for Nico.
And also, how do aspiring young men in your area up there and the New Paltz area or anywhere else want to reach out to you? I know you're on Facebook, so they can reach you there. Anywhere else?
Well, I got an Instagram account as well. I also have a New York Top Team account, Mixed Martial Arts. But the best way to reach me is probably on my Instagram or Facebook, as I call it, because you got a lot of people hiding on Facebook behind there. You know,
and it's Ron, D-A-R.
Yep, that's D-A-R-N-L-E-Y.
Okay, Ron. That's
Yep.
great. And also, Chris, the best of luck. I'll be up there. We'll talk about it. Before you guys go, though, every guest of mine on Keep It in the Ring has to take a shot at the fact of the week. And that's going to deal with kickboxing. And I think it's pretty easy, too. So don't go yet, because go ahead. My great producer behind the scenes, Carl Roberts. It's not fact of the week until we see it. Go ahead, Carl. All right, guys, you ready?
Shoot.
Here we go. It's about kickboxing, Muay Thai. Of course, you know it's a Japan hybrid martial art sport. Can you tell me, and this is not trivia, it's a fact, what year and what decade it originated officially in Japan? Or Thailand? It's from ancient civilization, you know.
So I'm going to say, like,
it's from ancient civilization, but it originated for real in what decade? Are they still there, Carl, or did they go away? Carl? Carl, did we lose them?
Unfortunately, we lost them.
All right. Well, it doesn't. I wonder if they could log back in. If not, we'll just say goodbye and give the answer to the fact of the week. Maybe they got insulted with my fact of the week. Who knows? I don't know. Are they logging back in, Carl? Because I wanted to say goodbye to them.
I don't see them in the back.
All right. Well, if they're watching, I want to thank them again. The fact of the week answer was the decades was the 1960s. That's when Muay Thai kickboxing, it came out of Japan and Thailand, which was part of ancient civilization, became official here as a sport, as an actual sport. What do we have here? Kim Walsh, what is that serious? Puts on amazing event. Can't wait. Heart pounding. Thank you for the comment. Is that Kim Walsh, I believe? Thank you for watching. So, Carl, with that, close up the fact of the week, okay? Close it up. And we'll say goodbye again to Nico, Chris, and Ron. Carl, wrap up fact of the week real quick. I guess you can't, but back with Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso here. AGT Network Live, my YouTube channel live, and Keep It in the Ring on my Facebook page. And social media, scroll at the bottom. It's Rich. It's a X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, other social media outlets. And don't forget, fans, log on to some of my websites I write for. Read the content I write about boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, and all sports. NewYorkSportsA.com, and also now also on StreamPunk.com, Latino Sports. I'm all over the place. I'm a hooer in the business. Everyone knows that as I'm winding down my career. I got a book project in the works as well. Thanks again to Chris Vallette and making his debut up in Poughkeepsie, New York, May 4th. Kickboxing, I really enjoyed that segment, his first fight, and to Ron Darby, who's a part of and runs the Break It Town MMA Ridgewood Fitness in Stonebridge, New York. That's up by New Paltz, upstate. Thank you for their time. They took out some time in between the training and everything else. They got cut short on the fact of the week, but we got it in, and I really appreciate them coming on, and I hope you could you can find out more about the show. Carl, put it up one more time. I wanted to do that. Put that graphic up once again. Dead Serious Fight Promotion, May 4th, MJN Center up in Poughkeepsie, New York. First fight, 7 p.m. It is going to be a night of amateur kickboxing and MMA. I'm going to be there. So I'll have reports for you after that event, after May 4th. All right. Carl, let's get to the wrestling talk. A lot of that as we keep it in the ring on our next portion of the program this week. Bring you in as well. AEW Dynamite going on as we talk. I'll catch up with it later. But let's talk about AEW coming off Dynasty. Let's talk about Mercedes first. Because she's supposedly they're not going to give her time on TV as of yet on a full-time basis. And what have you heard about that? I've heard that briefly she needs more grooming. Put her image up. What's going on with her?
So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. I think they're saying that because they don't really have a storyline set up for her yet.
I don't know.
But
since her debut about a month ago on AEW Dynamite, we haven't seen her wrestle yet. And they're trying maybe to line her up. Is it going to be with Willow? Is that going to be maybe her adversary, their former friends?
It could be because she does have heat with Willow Nightingale and also Unfinished Business from years ago on the indie scenes.
I just don't understand this because they gave us such a buildup coming in as money debut up in Boston, her hometown, and we just see her talk. She hasn't been in the ring yet. I don't know what Tony Khan's idea here is, but then again, a lot of his ideas sometimes I don't understand. I will talk more about Dynasty now, and let's take a look at the championship. New champion. First black champion in AEW. Well-deserved. I love this young man. He's got it all. Swerve over Samoa Joe. I thought that was I saw Dynasty, and I thought it was a damn good match, and he gave Joe really a run. Samoa Joe is just going to take a little time off. He's banged up a bit as well. But Swerve, man, can he take punishment?
Yep.
What'd you think of that match?
I loved it. I loved it from the minute the bell rang to the minute the bell rang. That was one hell of a match. As I said before, Swerve deserves it, and they finally paid it off.
You know what I liked about Dynasty is, this was their new pay-per-view. AEW putting on pay-per-views now every month, every other month, as they go into a new media rights deals. Tony Khan, he's talking about it. What I liked is the way they spaced out the matches, the way they did it. And I liked the way they put, one thing I don't like is just too long. Because first you have their YouTube, pre-show, and they put on matches there and they talk. And then they go to midnight or later.
Right.
Before you get to Tony Khan's scrum, which takes forever. But this one was a little briefer than all his others. However, I like the way they spaced out the matches, and they were able to put Swerve and Joe on last and gave it some time as well at the late hour it was on. And then you saw, by the way, who's Swerve? What have you heard about Swerve's first title defense? Who's he going to rival with next?
Haven't heard that yet.
No. Maybe on Dynasty tonight we get an idea, because I know Swerve's going to be on the program. Then we heard Tony Khan talking about the returns of Kenny Omega, MJF, that everyone wants to know where he is, and Dr. Britt Baker. Tony Khan says it's happening. They're ready to go. It's a matter, I guess, when they're saying they're ready to return. And, of course, everyone is just waiting for MJF to reappear, because there's always these rumors he's not coming back. It's going to WWE. But we know, as Tony Khan says, he's staying with AEW, one of the originals. All right. Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson. And the storyline out of this is how Danielson gets injured at the end, and Ospreay says, this is storyline. Bryan Danielson wasn't legitimately hurt. No more of that finishing move that he has. What's the name of that move again?
Oh, crap.
I can't. I forgot.
Yeah.
But it's a dangerous maneuver, and legitimately anyone can get hurt. And they played it off that Danielson got hurt. And Ospreay said, I love Ospreay. He is a fan favorite. The crowd jumps for him. He's electric. And Danielson, of course, the veteran, that match was A+ to me.
I give it a 9.
Yeah, I do too.
Out of 10, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Carl, I thought that was a great match, and then we could move on and see that the Young Bucks are now tag champs again. The ladder match, superb with FTR. But this, we knew it was going to happen, and it was going to happen this way. Jack Perry, a.k.a. Jungle Boy, is back with the new look. Finally, after the CM Punk controversy, Jack Perry interfered and helped the Young Bucks get the win, the new tag team champs in AEW. What'd you make of that briefly, Carl?
I like that he's back, but the problem is I don't know why the Young Bucks constantly are getting the tag team titles.
I'll tell you why. They have to. They're one of the originators of AEW with Cody Rhodes.
I understand that, but you have other tag teams out there that deserve it more than the Young Bucks.
They do. There's a tag team division there that's stacked, and a lot don't get the play. But maybe that changes a bit with the Young Bucks now as tag team champs. And what about Jack Perry? What happens to him that he's back?
Now that he's back, I could actually see him going after Killswitch, which was his partner when he
Yeah,
was
we
running
haven't we haven't seen the faction from Christian as of late. I'm
Right.
sure maybe even tonight we'll see it. I mean, man, I'm not watching AEW right now, Dynamite. Maybe see is their ratings still are not that great, no matter what Tony Khan says. However, they do give you a good show, and I thought Dynasty was very respectable as they get ready for their next one, Double or Nothing, in Las Vegas, which was one of their originals and is always good. What I like about AEW, again, the action is always good. You get the blood. Maybe too much of it. You get these type of matches that WWE is now starting to revive in their new attitude area, supposedly, or renaissance. WWE, Becky Lynch crowned the champ, vacated by Rhea Ripley. Congratulations, Becky Lynch, once again, the champ. She wins the Battle Royal. She's the champ again. She didn't get it at Mania. Only right, though, I felt Nia Jax should have got it. She's my favorite.
Well, there was rumors going around that it was supposed to be either Nia Jax or Liv Morgan.
Well, Liv Morgan now seems like she's aligning with Dirty Dom Mysterio and might end up turning heel with Dom, who has a sling because he's supposedly injured. As that we took that
Judgment Day.
Yeah, that they're breaking up. It looks like that faction's going to break up, and Damian Priest will turn good, and they're all going to break up without Rhea Ripley around.
Because he did say he doesn't need them; they need him.
Which is true, and then Damian Priest is better off going on his own anyway. He's better as a singles guy. He's starting to become more of an enforcer himself. And he's got the talent, right? He's got that world title belt. He's going to have it a while. At least till Seth Rollins decides when he's going to come back, who's on the injured list right now. We wish Seth real well. He's one of my favorites. But it's getting interesting now with Becky Lynch, once again, the women's champ in WWE. The draft comes up, starts Friday night on SmackDown. You're going to see changes. It's going to see champions maybe moving different spots. Cody Rhodes already established he's going to be on SmackDown. There's going to be some significant name changers as WWE goes into the new year next year with the Netflix venture with Raw, SmackDown going somewhere else. So it's obvious they're going to shift names where they have to be to keep the ratings boost going. Even with, you might see a lot of NXT stars going to the two major brands as well.
That would be, if this year's draft is nothing like the previous. Hold on, I did see it. Somebody posted it on Facebook in one of the groups I'm in. Hold on.
You're going to see a lot of movement. You know, the draft does that. Sometimes you don't like that. But, you know, I think also you're going to see with the new tag team titles, and the belts are beautiful, the new belts. I think what you're going to see Triple H and Creative doing is keeping them, and they're not going to crisscross and go to both shows. They're going to be on one, and that's it. That might work. It might not work in the end. But Triple H is always coming up with great ideas. Move on, Carl. Jacob Fatu, rumored, supposed to be debuting as part of the new Bloodline coming up on SmackDown Friday. Now, we hear today that may not happen Friday night. They may move it back. But eventually, he does show up as a part of the new Bloodline, and Roman Reigns returns with Jimmy and Jay to try and get that, you know, the rival Fatu and Haku. And also the head of the new table, supposedly Sikoa. And where does Paul Heyman stand in all this now?
So supposedly Roman's going to be out for a while, and it's definitely Sikoa is the new
tribal chief, supposedly.
With Paul Heyman as the special counsel, but they're definitely constantly bringing in new
there's a lot of movement. Yeah, we'll see. That's an interesting storyline, as well as this. Finally, Emporium breaks up. What'd you make of that? What'd you make of Kaiser?
I thought that was very interesting on how they did it. And that's the photo we have of them.
And Gunther now eyeing to be the King of the Ring champion. They're
Yes.
bringing that back. Yeah, that King of the Ring is going to be where? It's not in the States. It's one of their events, PLEs, they're doing internationally. Right?
Right. Yes.
But Imperium is broke up. About time they did. You'll see more of Gunther going for his own personal goal more. And, of course, Kaiser on his own. And then we have Gable and Sami Zayn. And the Gable story with his little faction becoming this heel of, you disappointed me.
Yep.
Where does Gable stand? Is Gable in line for something bigger?
I think he is. I think they're really pushing for him
SummerSlam,
to- SummerSlam,
him and Zayn again.
yeah,
The storylines are getting more interesting after WrestleMania with Triple H in control and Deborah TKO. They're hot. They're really hot, and it hasn't faded away since WrestleMania. The ratings are a little lower this week, but the storylines are all new as Triple H is head of creative and making WWE the top gun and continue to be with Vince McMahon totally out of the picture. Carl, that wraps up the wrestling segment. Now, you are my great producer here at the AGT Network, as well as having your own show. When are you on? NFL Draft tomorrow night?
yep. Right on our YouTube channel, right here on the AGT Network, you will find from the fans from the stands, we are doing a watch along for night one, which is also round one of the 2004 NFL Draft.
So not only do you keep it in the ring, but you're very sports savvy as well as me.
Yes, sir.
People say, my knowledge sometimes, my baseball and soccer and some of the others. So, but you have some good programs on the AGT Network. We have some big announcements coming up maybe next week about some different things that are happening here. So, but Carl, thanks again, my friend, putting up with me.
Tomorrow you catch us at 6:30 because the NFL Draft starts at 7 p.m.
Right. It's a 2-day event, too.
Yeah, and we're only doing round one.
Oh, that's all I'm interested in. I could care less about the other rounds. Just like the draft and WWE. That's why the draft is happening with WWE, SmackDown Raw. Carl, thank you. We'll talk to you later. We'll wrap it up in a moment. One final timeout, brief break. Come back. Our nostalgia story of the week in boxing, another note or two, and we'll keep it going and wrap it up. We're going over again this week. It's Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso, live on the AGT Network, my Facebook Keep It in the Ring page, and of course, my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Please subscribe. It's free. Like and comment. It's there. Back after this one final brief timeout. Stay with me. All right, we wrap up the final segment. A few minutes of Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso, X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, where you get me. Also, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And read my content on NewYorkSportsDay.com, StreamPunk.com, LatinoSports.com, and everywhere else. Just Google me. You'll find out where I am. But right now, it's busy time. Not only do I keep up with the boxing, the wrestling, the MMA, but also baseball season for me, MLS soccer season for me. And the playoffs. I follow it, but I don't write about it. But my main thing is keep it in the ring every week, every day, 24/7. I eat, drink, sleep this, as you do. Combat sports at an all-time high. I told you the figures and the statistics about it last week. All right. My thanks again to Ron Darby and his fighters up there in New Paltz area of New York fighting on May the 4th. We'll remind you about that next week. And we leave you with this. One note in boxing, too. Another good fight being set up. Tszyu and Virgil Ortiz Jr. making his debut at 154 on Golden Boy. That's coming up. More about that next week. And we go back in the past again. Let's take a look at this. Thomas Hitman Hearns, April 25th, 1981, against Ronnie Shields. Remember this? 12 rounds. He retained the WBA welterweight title in Phoenix. His second defense of that title. He used his reach and power. He dominated. That's what Hearns was great at. Shields was cut above both eyes by the 9th round. The ref, on the advice of the ringside doctor, stopped this fight after round 12. A fight that was scheduled for 15 rounds. And I bring that up again. Boxing in its heyday, championship rounds, 12 to 15. Now, because of the medical and safety standards that went into effect years ago, we go to 12-round championship fights, no longer 15. And as I've told you once and more than twice, my friends, fighters can go 15 rounds. And many times after 12 rounds, it's not decided. Those final 3 to 15 can decide a championship fight. And we've seen that many times in boxing over the last few years, where a fight going past 12 rounds could determine something more than what we've seen in the past. So I advocate again to going back to 15-round fights. Fighters say they would love that in a championship fight, and they're advocating as well because they feel 15 rounds over 12 could make the difference. So Thomas Hearns was excellent at that, stopping Ronnie Shields April 25th, 1981. I didn't cover that fight, but I remember it well. The Hall of Famer Thomas Hearns in that 1980s era, as I always bring back and talk about, Hagler, Hearns, Duran, Leonard, those four, along with the heavyweight division when boxing was mainstream and on the top. No longer now, and hopefully these youngsters in this sport now can make it where it once was. They have the potential to do it. They can do it. And I'm talking not only about Gervonta Davis and just a guy like now, Virgil Ortiz Jr., who's been around a little more. So many. Mateus at 147. You have Teofimo Lopez. So many more names. And I can go on and on that are young, that are talented, that can put this sport back on the top where it belongs. Now, we do have the faces. Terrence Crawford fighting again. We saw that earlier. I told you, about August 3rd at 154 for the first time. And also Canelo Alvarez, still the face of the sport to many. Coming up May 4th, Jaime Munguia, a Mexican fight. And a good one in Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena, Amazon Prime. Boxing could be back to where it was. 15-round fights, weighing fighters on the same day, maybe. Promoters working together. As Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya have proven it can be done. Put the big fights together. The fans deserve that. Those two guys, De La Hoya and Hearn, are doing that. Others have to follow. And we could be back on top. Most of all, sanctioning organizations have to limit what they're doing so fans out there, you and me as well, can identify who one champion is by unifying titles. And the face of the sport always was the heavyweight division. Bring that division back to prominence with one unified champion. Fury and Usyk will try that the middle of next month, though there will be a rematch, I'm sure. The face of boxing has always been the heavyweight division. We need to see that again. I grew up with it. Many of you did. A lot of the young people on board right now with the sport don't. MMA is taking over in a lot of ways. Boxing could be at top again if they could only get it right. And another concluding note, I want to thank you for watching this week's edition of Keep It in the Ring. Again, log in to fights that are coming up. If you have the streaming networks, they've been strolled at the bottom of the screen. The next few months, this is boxing season. The big names and the young superstars will be on one of the streaming networks or on ESPN. Also, Get me on social media. Keep in touch. This is combat sports, boxing, MMA, pro wrestling that I always love. We'll talk to you again next week. Log on to my social media to know when we'll be on live on the AGT network or my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and please subscribe. It's free, and I do the best I can for you. Want you to all stay well. Be good to each other. Have a great week. Stay in touch. And as always, keep it in the ring. Thank you, Carl Roberts, my producer, for keeping at me, pounding you every day till we get here tonight. Stay good, everyone. Keep it in the ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Till next week. Thank you.